I never believed in vanished campsites until I saw my own tent, intact but completely empty, with my dog howling, tied up just outside. This happened in Yosemite National Park in April of 2023, and the feeling of instant abandonment haunts me to this day. The truth is, sometimes hell isn't a place. It's the moment you realize you are utterly alone. I'm a veterinarian for working dogs in Denver, and my routine is dictated by schedules, vaccinations, and the predictability of animal behavior. But my border collie, Thunder, a whirlwind of energy and intelligence, needs more. He thrives on adventure. So, for the long weekend in April of 2023, I planned a 3-day hike through Yosemite, focusing on spots I knew that were less frequented by the weekend tourists. I arrived on Thursday around 4 in the afternoon, with the sun already starting to dip behind the mountains. I set up my camp in a clearing I've used for years, near Eagle Peak, a safe spot with access to water and about 2 miles from the main park entrance. Thunder was more agitated than usual during the drive, but I chalked it up to fatigue and the anxiety of finally getting there. As soon as I pitched the tent, a sturdy 4-season North Face, he ran in circles, sniffing everything. I called my girlfriend Anne around 5 in the evening. "Everything's good here, honey. Sun's hitting the tent just right. I'll send pictures tomorrow," I said, smelling the damp woods and the cool breeze. The sound of the river was a distant, constant, and comforting murmur. Everything seemed absolutely normal, the promise of a peaceful weekend before the darkness of night began to settle in. On Friday, the sun flooded the tent at 6:30 in the morning, a gentle reminder that the day had begun. But Thunder didn't move. He was restless, lying with his ears pricked up, growling softly toward the tent's entrance. I figured it was a small animal, a raccoon or a marmot that had gotten close during the night. When I got out to make breakfast, I noticed something odd. The rope I used to hang my food bags high up in a tree was slightly slack. I blamed my own clumsiness setting it up the night before, or maybe an animal that had tried to climb it. Nothing to really worry about. Around 9 in the morning, I decided to explore an unmarked side trail I'd seen on old maps, planning to be back for lunch. When I returned to the clearing around 12:30 in the afternoon, the scene had changed. The food rope was completely loose, the bags lying on the ground. My food packages were intact, but scattered, with no sign of rodents or other carnivores. Thunder wouldn't stop barking in a specific direction, toward a denser part of the woods. He was clearly disturbed. What caught my attention the most, though, was the sound. As I was cleaning up the mess, I heard what sounded like voices. They sounded young, laughing, but the sound was strange, muffled, as if it were coming from underground or from an impossible distance. I didn't see anyone. I tried to rationalize it, maybe other campers further down the trail, or a strange echo from the rock formations. But the sound was too contained. That afternoon, while walking near the camp to gather dry firewood, the sound of the river, which was normally a comforting presence, seemed quieter, almost muffled, as if something were absorbing the sound. As the sun began to set, Thunder went back to being agitated, but now he was just standing there, staring intently at the door of my tent and howling. Not warning barks, but long, mournful howls I had never heard from him before. He never does that, ever. It was Friday night, around 10 o'clock. The full moon could barely pierce the dense canopy of Yosemite, and the darkness seemed to have a weight of its own. Thunder was completely silent, which put me even more on edge. I was lying in my sleeping bag, listening to every little noise from the woods, my heart hammering in my chest. Suddenly, a sound that froze my blood. A zipper, slow, metallic, opening the entrance to my tent. I froze. My body wouldn't respond. My mind was screaming to run, to grab my camping knife from the fanny pack beside me, but my limbs were heavy, paralyzed. Through the small opening of the zipper, I saw a dark silhouette against the faint light. It wasn't tall or bulky. It looked agile. And then a voice. Not a whisper, but a drawn-out, almost hoarse murmur, yet with a disturbing clarity. You should have brought him with you. Thunder let out a low, guttural growl, unlike anything I had ever heard from him. Before I could even think about reacting, the silhouette moved away. I heard footsteps, not normal footsteps, but a quick dragging sound, as if it were sliding over the dirt, and then an abrupt silence. I lay there, breathless, waiting. Thunder was still growling, but now it was directed outside, into the darkness. I switched on my flashlight, its trembling beam cutting through the night. The tent's zipper was open, the entrance gaping, and there, staked to the ground, right in the opening, was Thunder, my dog. A collar I had never seen before, made of a dark, rough material, was tied to him. He looked at me, his eyes wide with pure terror. And the collar, it wasn't just a collar. It was some kind of makeshift harness with a tight loop around his neck. There was no sign of who had done this, no tracks, just my dog, the collar, and the overwhelming feeling that whatever had taken Thunder didn't want to hurt him, but to use him. The sentence echoed in my head. You should have brought him with you. Brought him? Brought who? And to where? Panic set in, but something inside me, the pure adrenaline of fear, pushed me to act. I had to get my dog out of there. Instinct took over. With trembling hands, I untied the makeshift collar from Thunder. He whimpered softly, but didn't resist. I felt the rough, unfamiliar material in my hands. I threw it aside. Without a second thought, I broke down the tent in record time, gathering my things in the dark under the weak beam of my flashlight, while Thunder stayed close, constantly looking back at the woods. I didn't grab anything that wasn't essential. I barely managed to get my backpack on. We started down the trail back to the park entrance, running more than walking, Thunder stumbling occasionally, but never stopping. We reached the parking lot around 4 a.m, the sky just beginning to lighten. The car was there, untouched. I started the engine and didn't look back. I drove straight to the ranger station. The ranger, an old man with a face weathered by time, listened to my story with a calmness that terrified me. April of 2023, you said. April, he muttered, flipping through a worn-out notebook. We've had other cases like this. Some people vanished. Others came back spooked. Always this time of year, near a holiday weekend. They say it has something to do with the old hunting grounds, but they never found anything. No body, no tracks, no motive. The police came once, took some photos, said it was wild animal attacks or accidents. No arrests, ever. His words sounded final. I left Thunder with Anne in Denver and went back to my routine. But Thunder's silence that night, the weight of that strange collar, and the raspy voice are a constant nightmare. And sometimes when I'm at the clinic and a dog barks in a certain way, or when the lights flicker for a second, I feel a chill. The feeling that something is still out there, watching and waiting. I've never been camping again. Thunder, despite going back to being his usual energetic self, has an irrational fear of being alone. I leave all the lights on when I go out. I check the locks on my car and my house countless times before I go to sleep. And collars. I take an extra look at every single collar that comes into my clinic. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't an accident. It was something that took thunder from me for a few terrible minutes, left me proof that something unthinkable happened, and showed me that there are places and times where the rules of the world no longer apply. And the worst part? They're still out there.